All right, welcome back. I will be discussing how to summarize data in tables and graphs using Excel. This is commonly available, and I want to go through few things, and this is going to be very useful in different fields. All right. If you have watched my previous videos where I talked about summarizing data in tables and graph, this is the Excel part of it. So we have this data here, color of M&Ms. So this clearly is a qualitative data. And I have this table here is talking about marital status. I call this marital status 2 because it's just one data set. And this is another data set talking about the number of cars in the household. I'm going to start with analyzing qualitative data. And in this data, I'm going to be talking about creating frequency table, relative frequency table, bar graphs, or sometimes called bar charts. And we move on from there. So first thing is to create a frequency table in Excel. You need to create, so first I'm going to have number of cars, color. So here we have brown, we have yellow, we have red. We can just copy and paste it. We have orange, we have blue, we have green. I think that's all. So that is the color. Those are the colors we have. So I'm going to create the frequency here. Expand it a little. I'm going to create relative frequency here. All right, just for aesthetic, all right, so what I'm going to use, if a function that you can use in Excel is called count if. I'm going to be able to count everything down. So I have equal sign, then count if. So the first argument of count if is going to be all the data set data. So I'm going to click on it and drag it to the last. So then comma, then the category. So this will be from brown down to green. You realize that I click on it and I drag it down. Now, you need to be careful because I want this to, for each of this color, I want it to use the entire data set. So I'm going to put, so we can first close this, then. So I will use $sign around the letter. So when I have A2, I use $sign around A2, and then I use $sign around A46. This way, for each color, the counter will go through the entire data set. If you don't put it, it's likely that it will skip some. So I'm going to put enter. So What this means is that there are 12 brown colors here. There are 12 M&M with brown color. Now, once I get this, I put the cursor in a way that you get a plus sign just at the edge here. Click on it, drag it down. That should count the entire thing for us. And this is the frequency. So there are 10 yellow M&M, there are 9 red M&Ms and all that. If you want, we can put total, and that would be the sum, actually, sum of everything we have here. So you click on the drag down and then close the sum. So that means there are 45 M&M altogether. Now, how do we create frequency, relative frequency? Very easy. If I know the total, I can have equal sign. Then I have 12 here divided by the total, which is 45. And you click enter, it gives you the relative frequency. Now, I don't want to do that because if I have a large data set, I don't want to be doing it one by one. So what I will do is equal, then I click on the frequency of this for the first one, but corresponding to brown color. I put division sign, and then I click on the total. Now, the problem with this is that if I leave it this way, there will be trouble because it's supposed to be changing total, but I don't want the total to change. So in that case, I'm going to put a $sign around D, just the letter. And this will keep total fixed, while the top number will be moving based on different colors. So press enter. We have that, put your cursor there, make sure you have a plus sign and drag it down. That gives us the relative frequency. You will understand that if you click on any of them, it still keep the total. Any of them still keep the total. So, and here we can also sum, but of course we should be expecting that it sum to 1. Everything must sum to 1. Good. So this is how to create frequency table and relative frequency table. All right, so let's move to how do we create a bar chart from this? How do we create a bar chart from this? Bar charts can be created using frequency, it can be created using relative frequency. So first, let's create relative frequency bar chart. So I'm going to click, highlight the whole thing, the data set I want to plot the bar chart with. And I'm going to go to insert. Under insert, you see a lot of different graphs here. Just pick this top one. And then once you go to anyone you like, it gives you the graph. So you can see that we have different colors to different, to their corresponding frequency. Okay, so if I want to, so there are certain things you can do here to make it look, the title is not frequency. So let's change the title, just double click on this, and that will enable you to edit it. So that would be color of M and H. That should be the title, but there is no access here. So when you click on the graph, there are things that come out here. If you click on the plus, it shows you what and what you can include in your graph. So let's first include axis title. And so once I do that, I can come back to each axis, double click on it and be able to change. So this is color. This axis is color. And if I click on this one, this is frequency. Right. So we do have the bar graph for that. Let's keep it somewhere here. Now, again, I want us to make bar charts with frequency, relative frequency. In this case, because they are not side by side, so you click highlight the entire color, press on Control key, and then go and highlight relative frequency. Okay, you can release your hand, go back again to insert graph, then the first one. Notice the difference. The difference here is that the y-axis here is frequency, but the y-axis here is relative frequency. These are the examples I showed in my previous video. So again, we can change this to color of M and M. Maybe I should use using relative frequency. I think that was a mistake here. So this should be color of. And then let's say using frequency. We can do the same thing. We can change, we can include the axis and change this to be color. And of course, double click on this also to have relative frequency. Okay. So let's keep this also here. All right. Another thing I would like to do with this data set is to see if to change this is vertical bar chart. We can actually do the same thing for horizontal bar chart. So I'm going to select what I have, go back to insert. The difference here is that you have other options. So horizontal one is exactly. So you can see now that the graphs, the bars are in horizontal. So this is just the difference. So again, let me just use color of M and M's using frequency. If I want to include the axis again, this is frequency. And this is great. So this is basically what we do to summarize qualitative data. All right. Another way, this is also qualitative data, so, but I want to explain side by side bar charts. Okay, we can do the same thing using relative frequency or frequency. Frequency is already given to us, so we can see here, but we can do relative frequency by constructing the same thing I just did in the previous data set. So if I want to do this using side by side, I will select all the data set, put insert, and click on the bar charts. Here we are. The moment I do that, it's going to plot this side by side, and you can compare it together. So I can put marital status. For 1990 and 2006. Here you have it. All right, so again, for this data set, I'm going to be talking on how to create pie charts, okay? And this is almost similar to what we've talked about. You highlight the data, the table, then put insert, and there is a pie chart here. So you click on this. Even though it's not exactly what you want, sometimes you may want to put the description inside or the proportion also inside. So you have different options here, and you can just go over on those proportions, and it will give you what you want. This is a one we have in our previous video. So you can see that we have the proportion of each, and the legend is given so that we know what is corresponding. So never married is 25% of the population. Married is the 58%, and so on and so forth. All right, so those are qualitative data. Now let's go to quantitative data. So quantitative data, remember that it could be discrete or continuous. This here is discrete, and the values ranges from 0 to 5. So it's relatively not bad. So how do we create frequency distribution table or relative frequency, and then put in the bar charts? All right, so let's take a look at, so I'm going to create the table now. So number of cars, and then let's say this is frequency, and let's say this is relative frequency. I'm going to, all right, so number of cars ranges from 0 to 5. So I have 0, I have 1, I have 2, I have 3, I have 4, I have 5. What's going on here? Okay, so if I really want to have 4 at the center, that's good. All right, so frequency, I'll do the same thing I did before. I use count if, so equal count if, and that way I'm going to select all these numbers so that I will not be using, I will not be counting manually, which could be a problem, could create error. Comma, what am I counting? I'm actually counting. So, but before then, let's put the $sign across the cell so that it will take care of everything. Okay, so that's not what I wanted. I wanted to count everything down. So that is enter. So it seems that there are 4 zeros. So if I put my cursor, I get a plus. Now drag it down, I should get all the numbers correctly. So again, if we want total, remember that there are 50 households in the lecture. So let's do this, let's sum them together. That would be 50. All right, so now we do the same thing for relative frequency. I'm going to put equal sign, and I'm going to put this guy divided by the total. And then I'm going to have $sign around the cell so that this will be fixed. You won't change this. Anytime you want to use Excel and you want a particular cell to be used for every calculation, then you do this. And I put equal sign and then drag it again. And I have this. So if you want to check, you can put the sum to be sure that you have 1. The sum of all this relative frequency should give you 1. All right, so this is the frequency and relative frequency table. Now we need to do the histogram. For you to do histogram, you click on the data here, and then you will see data analysis. If you don't have this option under data in your own Excel, all you need to do is to go to File, Option, this option, and then click on Add In, then click on Go. Then you need to select this option, Analysis 2 parts. So you click OK, and that will be showing up for you. Data analysis will be showing up for you. So all I'm going to do here is to click Data Analysis, and you will see a lot of things we can do. So we can do ANOVA, we can do covariance, exponential smoothing, we can do a lot. So what I need here is the histogram. So I click on histogram and I click OK. So input range will be all my data sets. Remember that I don't have to create frequency table to use this. So I click OK. Then bin range are the options that I have, number of cars. So that will be that. I don't want it to be in new worksheet, so I want it to be here, and I want the charts to be out, just to also see what Pareto is here. I can do this, and so many things you can do. So if you click OK, all right. So the good news here is that it's even helping us, is creating the table for us automatically. Oh, but this is only displaying the Pareto one with decreasing bars. So that's not just what I wanted. I actually want the regular histogram. So let's go back again. Data analysis, histogram. I'm going to choose the data set so I'm sure what is going on here. Okay. And this one also, that's correct. I'm going to add new workbook, okay? And I will just display chart outputs. All right, so should take me to a new workbook. Here we have, so we have the frequency table, and at the same time we have the histogram. Now the histogram is It's confusing, right? This looks like a bar chart. That is not what we want. Everything looks fine. We can decide to change this to number of cars. So this is number of cars, simply cars. All right, I don't want, histogram doesn't have the space. So you click on this, right click on the bar and go to format data series. At your right, you will see gap width. We don't want gap width to be 150. So I'm going to just close the width and that gives me the exact histogram. And I can do what I want with this. So 0 has 4, 1 has 13, and so on and so forth. So I am going to stop the video here. This captures everything that I discussed in the previous video on chapter 2 of summarizing data in tables and graph. And this talked about both qualitative data and quantitative data. Histogram is a very good representation for a quantitative data. Thank you very much. I'll see you in my next video.